Hello, graphic designers. So I have a quick video today just to take you through the beginning introduction to web design. All right, so what I'm showing right now on my screen is the W3 schools. So as you notice, we don't have a textbook. Pretty much this is our textbook. I am going to go exactly by this website, and you get there by going to w3schools.com. In the website, you're gonna hit this is your landing page when you hit to this website. Things that you're gonna see. The main tab that we're going to worry about is Learn HTML. So pretty much once we hit Learn HTML, that's gonna have pretty much everything that we need. We also later on in the course will be going to learn CSS, but for now, Learn HTML is it. Cool thing about this website, if you want to go further, and pretty much we're going to go through almost everything in HTML, and you'll be able to get a certificate in it. Of course, you have to pay for the certificate, but it's hosted through this site. I think it's $99. I'm not sure. But anyway, if you want, you can get a certificate in it, and that's kind of cool, something to add to your your resume that you got a certificate in HTML. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to hit this tab called Learn HTML. When we click here, cool thing about this site is you can actually practice everything that you're learning. But the most important thing for us is down on the side. These are the areas that we're going to go through as we navigate through this site. We're going to create a quick web page, but we are going to, I just want to show you that we're going to bounce back and forth to here. So as you can see with HTML, HTML is really just a markup language for web pages. So a lot of people say code a lot of times, so I don't want to learn the coding. This is not coding. That is not what HTML is. It is really hypertext markup language, which means that you're taking standard everyday text and you're just giving it tags. That's really it for HTML. Lots of people are scared of it and all this fun stuff, but really it is just you're marking up type. So this tutorial, we're going to go through HTML5, which is the latest standard of HTML. It is being updated every day. And it's really, really cool because it makes the sites easier for coders, also for people with disabilities. It makes it more accessible for screen readers. And we're going to be talking about semantics later on, but really semantics I look at as it just makes sense, and we'll get into that as we go further. So again, HTML is easy. So if you scroll through, I like to scroll through each page, and you'll see the first thing that we're going to create whenever you're creating a web page is doc type, and so that's what we're looking at right here. And what doc type is just telling it, hey, you're about to create this type of document. And in our case, we're going to create HTML. And that's really all that that's doing. It's not doing anything else for our page. And we'll go through all of this as we go through. I'm just showing you a little bit. But so let's say we went through this lesson and you see the try for yourself. You can go here. You'll see that you have two sides to the window. You have the side that you can play in and you can type some information in here. And you'll see it update over here. So for instance, if I change this page title, and we'll go over this a little bit, but if I change it to, hello, my name is me. So if I change it to something like my name is me, then as soon as I hit run, you're going to see that update on the other side, or we should see it update on the other side, unless it's broken and it's just not working. But anyway, so that's what's going to happen. So as soon as you hit run, it's going to update over here. I think my mode is in presentation mode, which is why we're seeing the circle. So it's not actually registering. It's not actually registering I'm doing something. But in any event, you try it. You should try it on your own. Just change the title to something different. Actually, that's not true. The reason this did not change, and we'll talk about this in a moment, is because I'm changing the title. And the title really only changes the tab area of your page. So we're going to talk about that. This actually is speaking to the browser. So if I go down here where I have H1 and I say, hello, my name is me. And then I click there and now I hit run. Now we're going to see it change. So it's just that I was in the wrong tags. And that's a pretty cool lesson to know now. As you guys are learning, that you do want to make sure you're in the right tag so that you can see your work happen. But we're going to go through all that in explicit detail as we go through the course. All right, so I just want to show you that. Let me go back and close this. And then, so pretty much, so that's HTML. So when we write HTML, for this class, what we're going to use is a program called Dreamweaver. Now, if you do not have Adobe Dreamweaver for whatever reason, we can still get through this class. We'll just have to use other means, but I need to know as soon as possible. A prerequisite for this class is having Adobe Dreamweaver and Photoshop. So as we go further, you're really gonna need to have it, and you can grab it at Adobe. I think they have like the entry programs for $9.99 for students, and all of their programs are no more than $19.99. So, and it's monthly, so you can cancel it at any point in time. So you may want, if you don't have it yet, you may want to think about going to grab it. But let me go ahead back here and let me show you this. So this is Dreamweaver. All right, so when you first open Dreamweaver, and the way that you're going to open it is you can either search in your search bar for Dreamweaver, or you can go up here to the cloud, which if you have a Windows machine, it should be up there as well. But you'll go up to the cloud, and then you'll choose Dreamweaver, and you'll open it. Introducing all new Dreamweaver is going to show up if it's your first time opening it. You can either choose, have you used Dreamweaver before? You can say, no, I'm new, or you can say, yes, I have. I'm going to say, yes, I have, because it's going to give us two different screens. One screen is going to be for the very beginner, and the other screen is going to be for the designer. So really, it doesn't matter. I think, you know what, you guys are probably going to say that you haven't, so I'm going to say, no, I'm new as well. So when you choose no, I'm new, it's going to give you the options of your workspace. You can either choose a standard workspace, and what this one over here means is it's splitting the screen. So it's going to have your code on top, and then your screen, what it's going to look like on top, and it's going to have the code on the bottom. What I prefer we use is the developer workspace, because we are going to be going back and forth and checking it, but I want you checking it in the browser. Thing about this is, if you choose this one, you may think that you're creating your website the correct way, and then you get to the end to find out that it's incorrect. So what happens is Dreamweaver tries to pretend it's a browser so that it shows you what it's going to look like, but there are times that it does not work that way. So the safest way to do this is to do the developer workspace, and then now you can choose whatever. If you like light, choose the light one. If you like the dark one, choose the dark one. I love the darker theme, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the medium gray for the presentation purposes. All right, and then if you want, you can go through these tutorials. They're really, really good tutorials that Adobe has set up for you guys to go through, but I'm going to go for, let's see, let's start with, in the center, start with new or existing folder. Right? So when we click on this, what it's going to give us is it's going to open up our if you're on a Mac, which I'm on, it's opening up our Finder. If you're on Windows, it's going to open up your Windows Explorer. But just figure out where you want to save your stuff. I'm going to save my stuff on the desktop for the purpose of this demo. I'm going to choose desktop, and I'm going to choose new folder. And then I'm going to go ahead and name this folder my first, all one word, my first web page. All right, so I just named it all together. I'm going to choose create. And now, so I have this folder sitting on my desktop. And in here, I'm just going to choose open. All right, so now once I do that, it's going to create that folder of my first website. Let me see. There it is. It created this folder down here. And I'm just, okay, so you might not get these options. I've had Dreamweaver before, but I'm going to go ahead and choose upload to sync my settings. Okay. If you get it, that means you've had Dreamweaver before, and you can just go ahead and sync your settings as well. So I chose my first web page. Here it is. It's sitting in here. So now I have a folder. So this is what's called our local root folder. This means that everything that you create is going to sit inside of this folder. Okay. It is your local root folder. It's going to contain all the images for your site, all of your CSS for your site, all of your JavaScript for your site, and your pages that you create for your site. So this is our first web page. I'm going to go ahead and go back up here. And so now the next thing that, where'd my Dreamweaver go? Okay, so remember I have 3 screens, so now I need to move Dreamweaver over to here. All right. Hopefully you guys are seeing all this. I hope so. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to File, New, and then what I want to create is a new document. We'll see that that's highlighted. It highlights by default, HTML. And then I'm going to title this document. So typically, I'm just going to say my first web page. All right, so my first web page, doc type is HTML5, and we aren't in CSS yet, so we're just going to go with that and just hit create. All right, so once we hit create, the cool thing about doing it in Dreamweaver or programs such as Dreamweaver is it actually creates all of this information for us. But because I want you to learn how to do that, I'm going to hit delete. All right, so now we deleted all that out because we're going to learn as we create. All right, so on line 1, we said the first thing I showed you was that we had our doc type, right? I said the doc type is pretty much telling the browser. So everything that we do, we're doing it to tell the browser something. So I always think of this as you're talking to the browser. All right, so when we talk to the browser, we're saying, hey, browser, we're going to create an HTML5 document. So the way that we talk to it is through tags, right? So this is our left bracket, and then we're going to give it exclamation point and doc. And we're going to learn more about doc type later. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to keep everything in lowercase. Doc type. All right, and now we're telling the browser, hey, browser, I'm about to create a new document called doc type space. The type of document that we're going to create is an HTML document. All right, and then we want to go ahead and give it our closing brace. So the only closing bracket. The only thing that this is doing is telling the browser, hey, an HTML document is about to be created. That's all. It's an HTML5 document that's about to be created. That's it. It does nothing else for us. It doesn't help us with our code at all. This is not considered any part of our markup. It is pretty much just talking to the browser saying, hey, browser, a document is about to be created. All right. So whenever we create our HTML, we also have to tell the browser, hey, this is where the HTML starts. This is where the HTML ends. So what we have are things called tags. So I'm going to go ahead and do our first tag, which is going to be left bracket, HTML, right bracket. Okay. And Dreamweaver will automatically close the tag for us. And that's cool that it's doing that. But I'm going to delete it just for a second. So we have our HTML. Let me make this larger. I'm not sure if you guys can actually see this. Let me see. Hopefully everything is still. It's been a while since I've been in Dreamweaver because I actually work out of brackets where, let's see. All right, let me see if this works. Oh, it still works the same. Okay, so hopefully this is getting larger for you so you guys can see it. All right, so we have our open. So what we have is an open tag, right? So we're saying, hey, browser, HTML starts now. That's our open tag. Our open tag is just simply left bracket, whatever we want in that tag, which is HTML, and right bracket. Okay, so now we want to create a closed tag, right? So I just hit enter a couple of times. Well, the only difference in an open tag and a closed tag is a slash. So I'm going to hit left bracket slash HTML, right bracket. And that's it. That's it. So now we have what's called an element, right? So an element is whatever is from the open tag to the closed tag. So this is called an HTML element. And we'll go more in detail later. Just know that this is called an HTML element. An element goes from the open tag to the closed tag. So right now we have just created HTML. We don't have anything in here, but we just created an HTML document, which is awesome, right? We're so awesome. That's just who we are. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is we want to, again, we're just talking to the browser. So far we told the browser, hey, there's an HTML5 document about to be created. We told it in this tag right here, this doc type HTML. Now we're saying, hey, our HTML is about to start here and it's going to end here because we have our open tag and we have our close tag, right? Okay, so now we want to give it some content, okay? So we're going to create our head. And so the head, so here's the cool thing. Anything inside of the head and the HTML is talking to the browser. So that's all we're doing is talking to the browser. We're saying, hey, and it's talking to the browser sitting in the background. Okay. Next, we're going to get to where we actually see the styles. But right now, we're not going to see any of this information because it is strictly information for the browser in the background. All right. So when we set up our head and it's going to go ahead and create the close tag, which is okay now because I think you guys get the point that the only difference between the open tag and the close tag is the slash. And you have to have both. If you don't have both, some browsers will not even see your information or it will display it incorrectly. Okay. So the head tag, we're giving all of the information that we want the browser to do in the background. So this is the information that is not going to show up on our website. This information is strictly for the browser. All right. So I'm going to hit enter. All right. So inside of the head tag, you'll have all sorts of things. Like you can have like a link if you had a style sheet, a title and stuff like that. What we're going to have is our title. Okay. Remember the title was where I was typing in before. And remember, we didn't see it show up on the right side when I was in the W3 browser. And that is because that information is strictly for the, I know you guys said it. I know you said it, right? Strictly for the browser, not anything that we're going to present on the screen. And that's why we didn't see it. That's why I said it was awesome that it happened because now you guys got it. All right. So let me go ahead and type a title tag, right? And again, if you work in Dreamweaver, it's going to automatically close it. If you're not working in Dreamweaver, you have to close it yourself. Or if you're working in other text programs, they'll do it as well. But for us, we're good. All right, so our title for this one is going to be my first web page. All right. All right, so we have our first web page. We have it set up for us. We got the head, we got the title, we got our open and close. So we said that this was the HTML element. Well, guess what? This is in between a open tag and a close tag. So this is our head element. And then this right here, look at that. That is our title element. Okay. So remember, the element goes from the open to the close. So this is the title element. Well, what's cool about the head element? What's included in the head element is the title element. So we have the head element going from the open close, the title element going from the open close to the title. And then what element would this be? Let me just ask you real quick. Exactly. That's our HTML element. I know you guys got it because, you just do that. All right. All right. So remember, all of this information that we're seeing right now is not being seen at all. This is only the information that is for the browser. Now, though, this HTML tag is, so what I'm about to do is called, when I say I'm going to open this tag up, right? Because right now the tag closes right here. I'm going to open it up. That means so that I can get information inside of here, okay? Because now we want to get to our information that's going to be seen. But before we do that, let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to make sure it's in my first web page. If yours does not say that, make sure you go to whatever you named your folder in there. So my first web page, okay? And I already know that it's going to say that. Now I'm going to name this because what you want to name your home page always is either index or home. But for the purposes of this class, we're going to name it index, index.html. You need to name your web pages correctly because if you do not, and you don't have that name, the browser isn't going to know what file to look for. And all people are going to see when they come to your site is a directory of folders, which does a few things. One, it is a security risk. And two, they're not going to be able to navigate through your website. So you want to make sure that you have your pages saved correctly. For this class, okay, for your grade, you want to make sure that you're naming your home page as index.html. The browsers are programmed to look for this page. So it's going to know, hey, is there an index.html? And it's going to go looking for that page, okay? So make sure. All right, so I'm going to hit save. Okay, so I just saved this. Now, we know that that folder is on the desktop, so let's go find it. Here it is right here. All right, I'm going to double click in the folder because we made this folder, and we're going to see index.html. So this is how we get to see both. Notice it already has the whatever browser you're using. We're going to use Chrome for this class. So make sure you have the Chrome browser downloaded as well. But you're going to see the Chrome here. So let's double click in there. and then it's going to open the page. Now, notice you don't see anything, right? Anybody know why? See, if we were in a classroom, I could see your hands, and then I'd be like, oh, and then you would answer, and it'd be all awesome. And I'd be like, yes, you guys, you just rocked it. But anyway, I'm sure you got it, right? Because all we did so far was talk to the browser. We haven't put anything in here that we want seen. But remember, we did that title. Look up in the tab. There's our title, right? So it's talking to the browser. We said, hey, browser, we want our title to be my first web page, and it's showing it, and it's showing it up here in the title. So cool. You guys rock already. All right. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and tell it. We want to give it to stuff that we want to be seen. So we're going to do body, right? So anything that we want to be seen on our website is going to be housed inside of body tags, right? So now this is open body tag, closed body tag. What is this? What is this? It's a body, rhyme. Yep, element. I know you said it. Yep, it is an element. Perfect. All right. So we have the body element. I'm going to tab inside. And I think, I'm going to do, let's do a paragraph. Okay. So the way that, remember I told you, so if we write, my wonderful web page, right? So if we write my wonderful web page, right? The interesting thing is if I save this and we go back to our browser and we refresh it, you're going to see it because it automatically assumes that there's a paragraph tag in there for this browser. This browser is smart enough. However, not every browser is going to display it for you. So you want to make sure that you're tagging it up perfectly. And for your grade, I need to make sure that it's in those P tags. But this is a common mistake students make. They're like, oh, well, I see it. It should be fine. No, it is not. You need to make sure that your stuff is tagged. That's the whole purpose of HTML. So my wonderful web page, we want to give it a paragraph. And the tag for that is P. It's just a simple P tag. So we open it, go ahead and set up your P tags. And we all know that Dreamweaver is going to do it for us. So one of the shortcuts, you can either cut it from here and then paste it over there, or you can highlight it and drag it over to the end if you did it. So typically I'll do my tags first. I just wanted to show you guys that, you have this option. If you accidentally type your text first, you don't have to go and delete it and all that fun stuff. Just put the tags, around it. So my wonderful web page, and if we save this, and we go and we refresh the browser, okay, so I'm in Chrome, so that's where the refresh is, then you're going to see what happened. So since it's a paragraph, it added some spacing. So here's the cool thing. Each tag or each element is already programmed into the browsers. So the browser knew paragraph, that means additional space. Let me give it the space that it needs. We're going to do heading tags and stuff like that in a second. It knows that it needs that space because it's automatically programmed in the browser. All right, so what we're going to do now, there's a web consortium that they make the rules and stuff for the browsers and all that fun stuff. So they already pre-programmed the browser to be smart. All right, so I'm going to, before this, I'm going to decide, oh, you know what? I want this to say, let me think. I always like to design on the fly. Let me see. Hello world. Oops. And let's say we put it in P tags, right? Let's just put it in P tags, right? So we have hello world. I'm going to move this to the end. Okay. And now now we go and we preview it. Oh, I was right. The right one. Now we're going to preview it. And we see that we have hello world, my wonderful web page, right? Well, let's suppose you're like, you know what? I kind of want that bold and I want to establish some hierarchy between them. So let's do that. So we'll go here and instead of a P tag, let's change this to like an H1 tag, right? So this is going to be our header tag. And we're going to get into headers and all that fun stuff later too. just know that the header tag is the largest tag in the series of headers, and it's going to go down. So it goes from header 1, H1, all the way down to H6, and H6 is going to be the smallest. There's more information about it, but we'll get to that as we progress in the class. So I'm going to save it. So make sure you're saving though. I'm just hitting Command S or Control S if you're on a PC, and you want to save it because if you go back to preview it and you haven't saved it, you're not going to see any changes. But if you make sure you hit Control or Command S on the in Dreamweaver and you go into Chrome and then let's hit refresh, now you're going to see the changes that you made. So we said hello world, right? Now we have our H1 tag. And so this is our largest header. So now hello world is huge. And then my wonderful web page is the paragraph size. All right. So we have headers, we have paragraphs, which is really just for like your body of text. Paragraph, the same as it is in Microsoft Word. Headers would be like how you style your header tags in Word or how you make your titles and stuff larger, bolder. That's exactly what it's doing, and it gives it more space. Okay. So we have hello world. We're going to be talking about lists and things like that a little bit later, but for now, let's go into our tutorial. All right, so we have our HTML introduction, we have our head tag, we have our body tag. We talked about briefly about those. So that's what we just created pretty much. We have pretty much everything that's in here. This is a heading, which again is the header tag. This is the paragraph, which again is your paragraph tag. So if we scroll down to introduction, this is where we get into more detail. I already talked to you about HTML being hypertext markup. It's just pretty much the standard language for creating web pages. It is awesome. Again, it's just putting tags in front of and after text so that the browsers can read it in a certain way. And so HTML is really just a structure of your website. So what I like to compare this to is if you're building a house, and you know how you go and they set up the foundation, that's HTML. HTML is your structure of your website. And then later on is when you'll add like your carpet and your color and your walls and stuff like that. What type of walls that you have. That's what we're going to deal in CSS. That's called like styling it. But for now, for this class and a few other classes, we're going to be sticking with structure. You guys need to know how to build the structure. Another cool thing about that, the structure of your website means that if someone who has any type of disability or has a screen reader machine comes to your site, they'll be able to see it and enjoy it, and you'll have the most important information in that structure versus having it styled and they have to turn the style off anyway because they can't enjoy it. So one of the main things is making sure that you are accessible. And that's one of the things that we're going to make sure that we are, right? That we're accessible, we're building accessible websites. Let's see, we talked about elements and how the browser displays it. Man, we went over a lot more than I thought we did. Okay, all right, so we talked about this. So this page, we're pretty much done here. Let's talk a little bit about editors. Right now we're using Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver is an Adobe program. It has a text editor. There are other editors that are free that are out there, such as Bracket. I think the website is brackets.io. They're actually owned by Adobe now, but they're in beta testing stage. But that's another browser that can be used. There's also browsers like Sublime and things like that. But what a Notepad for PC, Notepad++ for PC is amazing. I actually teach web at the library, and that's what we use. And then on Mac, there's TextEdit, which I have a Mac. TextEdit works as well. And there's so many that you can use on browsers. So what they do is they allow you to type in hypertext markup language, even JavaScript, but coding as well. So they allow you to type these in, and they save it as plain text, but then you can save it as HTML and your browser will be able to read it. So it's pretty cool. So just just know that those are available to you. I want to make sure you know. Let's see what didn't we go over? We went over doc type. I said we would go in more detail, but pretty much it's just like it's a declaration just saying, hey, browser, I'm using HTML5. Back in the day, it would be HTML4 and HTML3 and so forth and so on. But today, we're using HTML5 because it is semantic and because it is accessible and because it is so much more easier to work with. And we already talked about that. HTMLs begin and end with HTML, the open tag and the close tag, you guys can see. And the visible part of your document is between the body tag. So we talked about that information. I didn't think I got all that out there, but I did. Okay, we talked about the headings, H1, H26. Let's see. And if you want to see it in action, just hit try for yourself. And this is what I was talking about. It goes from H1 all the way down to H6. So that's pretty cool. Let me see. We will get into HTML images and links and stuff later. I don't want to go too far into that because that's another class. HTML elements, and yeah, I talked about that. I told you that anything from the open tag to the close tag is considered an element. Okay, that's it. So, and anything you read is going to be talking about elements and stuff. So getting up with this terminology is really going to help you talk to people. So the HTML elements, the start tag, the close tag, break, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But that's really just giving you a break. So it's just like when you're on the typewriter and you hit enter and you get that paragraph break, that's all this tag does. But there's no closing tag to that. So there are some tags, and we'll get to that later, that don't have a closing tag. It's only a few, but this happens to be one of the ones that doesn't. And then it's going to go into nested HTML elements. And again, you guys can scroll through these to get an idea of that yourself. But nested HTML elements, it's pretty much just a tag inside of a tag. For instance, we had body. Inside of body, you have the H1 tag. So the H1 tag and the P tag are nested in between the body tag. So that's really, and then it's showing you pretty much HTML. Then you had the body tag and you had H1 tag nested in there. H1 and P tags are nested. So let's see. Just want to make sure I don't miss anything. And I didn't so far. And I also have the syllabus over here just to make sure. Wow, nope, I went through everything that we were going to go through for today. So pretty much, that's your lesson of the day. So it's not a lot because you have other stuff that you have to do as well. But really, it was just to have you make your own web page, to introduce you to HTML. So what I need you to do is to make your own little website. Let me see what the homework is. Your own little website of your favorite things. So you're going to have paragraphs of whatever your favorite things are. And so if I wanted to, if I change this to, my favorite things. And then I talked about my favorite things, my favorite things are Oprah's favorite things. You know what I mean? So Oprah's favorite things, and then, or let me give you another set of P tags. My favorite things are Apple products. So I'll say Apple iPad. Maybe I'll list them out, maybe my Apple Watch. Maybe my children, and so forth and so on. So just list out maybe your 10 favorite things or however many favorite things, you want to use. But it's pretty much just to get you into actually creating the web page. And one of the things I want you to do as well is delete what Dreamweaver puts in here. I want you to type it out for yourself, because the only way you're going to really get it is if you're typing it out for yourself. And another thing is when I was younger and I was creating web pages, um, and had my teacher not had me do this, I would have been stuck so many times. There was a time that I forgot something and I was at like the bowling alley and I realized that I forgot it and my project was due at 11:59 and I went to the bowling alley on their crazy computer. They didn't have Dreamweaver, but I was able to type in that code and fix it before the project was turned into my teacher. So there'll be a lot of times like where you're working with a client and you might be showing them this on your iPad or something, and you don't have the software, and you're going to need to go in, and make those changes, and you can make them on the fly. So just it's very important that you understand the code, that you learn the code. So just delete it out and type it all yourself. And you guys saw that pretty much everything I went over, of course, is in this video, but was also here. So from the home to elements, everything is in there, and we skipped over some things like photos and stuff like that. So just go ahead and, create this. It's an easy project. It gets more intense from here. So don't take that as, anything else, but go ahead and create the project. Another thing that, we're going to do as well is you have some videos that I need you guys to go over. A prerequisite of this course is knowing graphic design, but for some of you who may have done it a long time ago, or some of you who haven't, sometimes that happens. Go through those videos, create some questions. I have a discussion board. I also have another discussion board for you, an introduction discussion board. So do the discussion boards. They're very important. They are a big part of your grade. And for some, it does make the difference in a letter grade. So make sure you're doing your discussion boards. We have them weekly. Make sure you create this week is the intro discussion board, and you have the questions. These are bonus. So the questions, I think, is a bonus 2 points or whatever. But for some, that made the difference as well. So go ahead and do the discussion board as well. And I will see you guys. We have a mandatory meet this week. I think for web, it's Thursday. Yeah, so we have a mandatory meet Thursday. So hopefully I'll see some of you guys and get to know you guys and meet up and we learn some cool stuff. All right, until then, I am Andrea, your instructor. I am so excited to be teaching you guys, and I will see you soon.